What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. We are here to have an incredible conversation about community versus competition. It seems like there's so many cybersecurity players out there in the world. It seems like everyone is just combating. But today we're going to talk about community and what it means to be a part of that community. So we got a lot of people from all over the world that's tuning in right now. We want to hear where you're from. So drop into wherever you're listening to this from into the chat. We want to see it. We are going to dive deep into the heart of cybersecurity, not just as a field, but as a community, a network of brilliant minds that are working together to make a safer digital future. Joining us tonight, I got two incredible friends with me. First, we have Cecil. You know him as Cecil, the CISO. And if you've been around him, I'm sure you've been in one of his selfies in the past. He's honestly a visionary in the cybersecurity world, both from a leadership perspective and a community perspective. He's the CISO and Senior Vice President at R1, and also the co-founder of CISO XC. He is honestly one of the instrumental figures in our space, especially in the DFW area. Cecil, welcome to the show. And then we also have another great friend in Tara Davis. She is the dynamic CEO of CyberOne. She has experience in so many aspects of cybersecurity from a leadership and a technical perspective. And she has been one of the key friends and family of CISO XC. And so we have her here to talk about what that relationship has been like. So I just want to say for both of you, welcome to the live stream.
Hey, thank you, Chris, for inviting us.
Yes, thank you.
For sure. So first we got to talk about CISO XC, right? I don't know if anyone has listening has been to a CISO XC event. You drop it into the chat, because honestly, every single event, whether you're talking about the big events that you have, all the way to the dinners and even the happy hours, it's really an interesting event, because there's so many people in there that are just having fun, having a great time. You go to some of these events that other vendors put on, and sometimes they're very subdued, kind of stuffy, but it's not like that at a CISO XC event. CISO, tell us a little bit about the concept of CISO XC, where it came from, and how you came to build the culture that you've built today.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Well, I don't know where to start, but yeah, thank you for the introduction about CISO XC, and it's true. It's a fun group, not just CISOs, but almost everyone in the cybersecurity industry, mostly in the Texas area. But we also have a lot of engineers to managers, and this concept came about, I would say, probably after COVID, and me and two other CISOs were kind of, wanted to go out there, and we were looking for a more collaborative group of, you know, folks that we can go have conferences and discuss a little bit more information. I would say, in typical conferences, you can't just, hey, what do you use for your, for your CNAP or your SIM? Um, this group that we've developed, I think we've created this open environment. I don't even have, if I have question, hey, I need a SOAR product. Usually go out, talk to vendors. Here we have chat, we have a group on LinkedIn, we have a chat group on WhatsApp that we can freely get some answers quickly. The other day I asked, hey, I need to know how much you're paying for a certain security awareness training. And I saw the numbers and I was like, oh, I think I can save more money if I negotiate more. So yeah, so it's a very open community where we share ideas, share the vendors of products we use, even the partners we buy from. So yeah, it's an exciting group. Thank you for asking, Chris.
Well, of course, I love it.
Yeah.
Tara, what first got you interested and motivated to work with the CISO XC team, and what has it been like so far?
Have you met Cecil?
Yeah, that tells it everything, right?
He can be a bit persuasive. No, It was in the beginning that Cecil reached out to us, and him and the other two founding members of CISO XC. We worked really hard with them on the very first one, kind of hand in hand, helping them find a location, helping them, because we had done these types of things before, not as a conference, but putting on larger events. So we kind of helped them from the ground up, and it just was such a different concept. The idea of CISOs coming together to provide information to their counterparts instead of, putting together what they knew they wanted to hear and what they knew was important for their industry. So we started with that, and it was so well done and so well received that we just haven't looked back.
Mhm.
Our competitors are there, tons of vendors are there, some of them compete with each other, but it's a very collaborative, like Cecil said, it's a very collaborative space. It doesn't feel that way. Everybody's there for the benefit of providing an educational climate for the CISOs that are in attendance and their counterparts as well.
And why do you think it has so much of a collaborative environment? Because I've been to other trade shows, I've been to other conferences, and it's not like that. It's very combative. It's us versus them. Oh, we have a better booth, they have a better booth. But when you go to a CISO XC event, it's very collaborative, both from amongst the competitors, but then even looking at the marketers and business leaders and the CISOs, right? A lot of times when you go to these events, CISOs feel like they're constantly being sold to. Like they're being picked apart by these marketers and sales folks, but it's not quite like that at a CISO XC event. What do you think makes CISO XC a bit different, Tara?
Honestly, one of the things that they do that I think is a huge differentiator is this very, very large component of giving back, right? So there's that undertone of community and community involvement from the get-go. And I think that helps. People are just come into it with a different mindset. It's not, I think that sets the tone for the event itself, is having that give back part of it. They do, from the larger events where they have the silent auctions that raise a ton of money for different charities and organizations, to some other individuals that are tied in closely with CISO XC that have nonprofits that they are involved with, and being able to give back to those. That to me has been the most rewarding part. And I think that just makes it a totally different show, totally different conference.
Yeah. And I mean, you both talked about collaboration, and collaboration is huge. People talk about, high tides raising all boats. In the Marine Corps, we talk about one team, one fight. But at the end of the day, it's all about community and bringing everyone together. Why is collaboration so important in cybersecurity? This question's for both of you. Let's start with you, Cecil.
Yeah, I think I'll start with the obvious. Many years ago, we don't really have a lot of collaborations among security leaders, and our threat actors, they collaborate every day, and I think the collaboration within our community makes us stronger and better. Many years ago, we don't exchange IOCs with other CISOs. Today, we do that. We don't exchange best practices as much as today. We are working better with our partners. We experience it every day. A lot of the data that I get from the community is, in the past, you'll have to pay the Big Four for those advices. So it's incredible the way we're partnering now and getting more value out of this. And by the way, the biggest part of this is we don't have to spend money to get this information. I do have to give a shout out to a lot of our sponsors and partners, including CyberOne, for being a big supporter of our CISO XC events.
What about you, Todd?
I think the stakes are higher, don't you, Cecil? I mean, I think that's one of the reasons. There's so much more pressure today on CIOs and CISOs and everybody down the line, that it makes more sense now to be collaborative. I think in the earlier years of cybersecurity really getting more and more important for every organization, people felt like they didn't want to share because that might open them up to something, right? If I'm sharing with somebody what I'm doing, then that might open me up to something. I think now we realize the likelihood of, you know, getting your organization getting hacked or an incident happening or an IOC, it's likely to happen. So if I can share amongst my community and we can learn from each other, we start to reduce the amount that could happen, right? I think to me, that's what it is, that the stakes are just higher. I mean, you're seeing now CISOs being held accountable
Yeah.
for those types of things in the organization.
Mhm.
Hey, I want to add, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I asked George Finney, hey, we didn't see you at the event, George.
Mm.
It's in another event. And he said, why would I attend when I can get my answers here at CISO XC?
Mm.
That's
That's
nice.
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that segues perfectly to my next question. I mean, where do other events companies go wrong when it comes to getting folks together? Whether you're talking about the competitors, getting them together and working cooperatively, or even just getting the marketers and business leaders in the same room with CISOs in an organic way. Where do you think other organizations go wrong? Let's start with you, Cecil.
It's a really good question. All of them are our friends.
Yeah.
Um, we kind of play the same. We kind of do the same, but well, we're just a little different because we are CISOs and we
Yeah.
organize this one. We donate many of our revenue to charity. Uh, our intention is probably if money is probably down at the bottom of the of our goals. Our goal number one is fostering the community, helping and supporting helping I would say at least 2 dozen people I know of found their jobs at CISO XC. We connected them to the right employer. So, and employers constantly ask me for candidates. I might need to start charging them, by the way. So, but yeah, it's. I think it's just different. Our goal is to our focus is community, and
Mhm.
a lot of them are business driven. They're driven by revenues and number of events per year. So yeah, it's kind of different, but we do as much as possible we want to partner. We actually try to help each other if possible.
Yeah.
One of the things that I see, Cecil, that you might not even realize, but some of the larger, let's just say, competing type events out there are very separated. Like I'm held at arm's length from the attendees somewhat. It's a very metered and measured amount of time and exposure that I can have with the attendees, and they're charging a fortune. And CISO XC, I'm allowed to be in every session that's going on with anybody that's in attendance. And so I think there's, all of these layers to it just make it feel more like we're all one. Cyber One, just kidding. But like we're all one. And I think that goes back to what you said earlier, Chris, like what makes this different and collaborative. Again, I think the baseline walking in, it just sort of feels different because of the way that it's set up. And it's all about supporting each other. I mean, I know at the last one, Robert Pace was there signing books. I didn't even know that he had a book. But people are sharing parts of themselves, and it's just a different vibe.
Yeah.
Cecil's good at bringing the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That
Chris,
is.
I want to add, we try to support everyone. We try to support our local authors. We buy their books. We give them away. We support the vendor community. I introduce them to a lot of CISOs. So I think the manufacturers, the value-added resellers, the CISOs, the individuals, the professionals, I think it's this really collaborative, open ecosystem. We just support each other. Yeah.
I would say some of my favorite things about going to CISO XC events is that I make so many friends. Like there are people that I've met at events that I still talk to this day. Richard, who took pictures at the last CISO XC event, is actually going to fly up to the Difference Makers Awards, which we have next week, just because we met at a CISO XC event. And I mean, just those types of bonds I really haven't built anywhere else, because a lot of times you get to these events and they already have these little cliques that are already together and you have to work your way in. It hasn't been like that at a CISO XC event. Anytime I go to a party, anytime I go to a dinner, it's always been open arms and very welcoming and very friendly environment. I'd love to hear from both of you. What is your single favorite CISO XC story? It could be big, small, it doesn't matter. What is your favorite story? Start with you, Tara.
At the last one, Alan is a gentleman who I think he goes by Cybersecurity Cowboy.
Yeah, Alan
Cyber.
Alford. Yeah,
You can use that.
yeah.
He is fantastic, and I loved it. He just had a list of questions, and he just would walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, you want to answer this question for me? I'm going to put together a podcast." And boom, and next thing I know, there's a podcast with a snippet of my all too Texas accent self in it. So in some ways, it's unexpected exposure, really. I mean, Chris, that's how you and I met, was at CISO XC.
Absolutely.
I probably met you online, Chris, many times, but we first met at CISO XC, and I think there's so many things I could tell you about experiences, but I think the number one is that meeting people. They just show up, and I said, "Oh my goodness, Cecil, we first met 8 years ago, but this is the first time we're meeting here." So it's almost like every time there's an event, we just even the happy hours that we organize every second Thursday, we just meet new people, and we're making new friends every day.
Yeah. When you think about other brands, because I'm sure there are marketers, there are sales folks that are on the stream right now, and they've been going at business like their traditional way, and they're looking for a way to organically have conversations with CISOs. They want to truly build relationships and not just have this transaction. What is that one piece of advice that you would have for those marketers, for those sales folks that truly want to have a conversation and see if they can help some of these security leaders?
I can tell you, join us. And as Tara mentioned earlier, I always joke whenever, what can I do and not do here? Well, I'm actually the police here, so you can actually do anything. Talk to the CISO, sit with. I can tell you, if you're supporting our events, and if just so happen if you do not plan, but we would like to invite you to visit the events and sit down and look around. I would like you to engage everyone, to our volunteers, organizers, but most importantly, to your target market. Almost every event we organize, we have a bunch of decision makers there. The last one, we have almost 200, and all of them are if you approach them appropriately, talk to them, they'll talk to you for hours. And I met some of my vendors that I invested this year for my day job. I met them at the conference.
Right.
I met them there. So yeah, I would like you to support CISO XC, and be more of an active participant. Talk and engage, and even get my help. Hey, Cecil, I need an introduction to this person. I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, I love it. What about you, Tara? What piece of advice would you have for those folks?
I love connecting people. So from my perspective, when I'm there, I'm standing at our booth talking to people that are coming up and asking, what are you working on? What are you thinking about? What's bugging you? And then I'll just walk them right over to a manufacturer's booth and say, like, oh, these guys can help you.
Yeah.
I just love the aspect of connecting people on the fly there. So I think always just be genuine. Again, it's got that vibe to it. Just be genuine. They're very open. I have found in having conversations. I don't know. It seems easy for me, but I talk a lot, so.
No, that's good. And of course, we're talking a lot about the community aspect, the human aspect, but there is some business impacts that happens from being connected to an organization like CISO XC. So Tara, what has been some of those wins, some of those impacts that have been on you and your business from working with CISO XC in the past?
Yeah, so we've had multiple introductions to CISOs and other individuals in organizations that we aren't talking to yet. So we've had direct impact of being able to start working with someone, engaging with someone to try to help them solve their problems. I've also found additional manufacturers that we're able to talk to and get a demo of and decide if that's a product that we want to be able to represent or a service that we want to be able to offer. So we've kind of had success on both sides of it, both from what we might want to offer to our clients, as well as being introduced to and setting up future meetings with new clients.
Hey,
Love it.
Tara, if you remember 15 minutes ago, we just mentioned about AKA.
I know, we're doing it
We're
right
doing it
now.
right now.
Okay, identity, baby. Yeah, definitely check us out. One thing I definitely want to bring up, and this is super, super important. You have to tell a CISO about the March event. How big is that going to be?
Yeah. It feels like the first event. The first event was I couldn't sleep, but this one, the cost of holding it, Chris, the cost of holding it is really next level. So I could tell you it will be, I can't explain. It's gonna be big. I know there's at least 30 to 40 sponsors now, and our goal is 100. Our goal for attendees is 1,000. Maybe I can answer that again in February.
Yeah, no, I love it. And
It's going to be fantastic.
yeah, it's going to be great. Just to give everyone a sneak peek, we have a bit of a promo for this March event, and we'll play that for you now. What's going on, everyone? Chris Cochran from Hacker Valley Media, and I'm here to tell you about one of my favorite events of the year. And on March 7th and 8th of 2024, CISO XC has bought out the entire Omni PGA Frisco Resort. If you have ever experienced a CISO XC event, you know CISO XC is all about working hard, but playing even harder. They have 13 bars and restaurants, 4 pool areas, 2 18-hole and 1 10-hole PGA golf course. I'm already excited, so grab your ticket and I will see you in March. We're going to drop the link to that event, both from an attendee standpoint and from a sponsor standpoint. So if you want to have your brand at an event like this and talk to 1,000 practitioners and leaders, be sure to reach out to CISO XC to get your brand in front of everyone today. Tara, when you see an event like that from a business leader standpoint, what comes to mind when you see an event that's that big?
I'll tell you what, Chris, I'm going to answer that in a little bit different way. CISO XC is almost exclusively the conference that we sponsor and the different events that we sponsor throughout the year. So we've seen so much success in partnering with them that's all we're looking forward to. So I'm like, Cecil, have we signed yet? I better make sure we're out there grabbing our sponsorship.
Check. That's not my area.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Oh, I know who to call.
Fantastic. All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great event. If you're not already signed up to sponsor, you don't know about it, absolutely click on that link and get connected.
That's another perfect segue. I'm going to give you guys your $20 after the stream. But what would you say to someone that has never experienced a CISO XC event? Because it's really hard to convey just in words, but do your absolute best to try to convey what it's like. Let's start with you, Tara.
Wear comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
And just get ready to interact, mingle, have deep conversations, have high-level conversations, make introductions. There's a lot of hype and a lot of energy all throughout the conference. They do a really good job of taking the appropriate breaks so that people have time to sit and talk, as well as having really excellent content teed up for people.
Yeah. Yeah, nice, comfortable shoes. Probably enough sleep the day before. Uh,
Yeah.
Chris and Tara knows that my favorite
Oh
part of the
yeah.
conference, actually, the after the conference.
After the conference.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah, for manufacturers and and resellers and sponsors, bring a lot of giveaway items, talk to people, bring a lot of business cards. For the attendees, a lot of hiring leaders who will be there. So I encourage you to, bring business cards, even bring a resume if you're around. I can even make some introduction. I know many of the leaders hiring right now, especially
mhm.
in Q1. There's a lot of opportunities for, a lot of us are hiring additional folks. So uh, probably, yeah, maybe mm, prepare for it's gonna be an all day event, and I know on the second day there will be some events we're planning. I don't know if we've confirmed that. We're still trying to finish the program, but
Mhm.
the goal is to have the 7 and the 8. So the 7 is already filled with uh, programs and plans and activities, but on the 8 we're still working on it.
Got it. Fantastic. And yeah, just like that, we are out of time. In classic CISO fashion, actually, all three of us will be together this evening, which is something that's pretty rare, right, in this space. But
Yeah.
I consider us all friends, and it's only because of CISO. It's because of people like you, Tara, that sees community as something that's not a commodity or something to be used, but something to be a part of. And with that, everyone, thank you again for being a part of the stream. Thank you for tuning in and checking us out and understanding why community is so important in cybersecurity. And with that, we will see everyone next time.